Hi everyone, very good morning to one and all. I welcome all the listeners to the next session in Java. So in this session, we are going to cover about we are going to start today's session with the control statements. So in yesterday's class, we have completed the data types. So we have seen different data types in Java programming language. So the data types are mainly categorized into two types, primitive and non-primitive. Again, under primitive, we have four types: integer, floating point, character, and boolean. And again, integers are divided into four types: byte, short, int, long, and floating point are divided into two types: float and double. Where under character type, we have only char data type, and then under boolean, we have boolean data type. So along with this, we have some non-primitive data types. So the things which are created in the program for our basic needs. The examples of non-primitive data types are classes, interfaces, arrays, and scripts. So in today's session, we are going to cover about the control statements. So as we saw earlier, these control statements are divided into three types: selection, iteration, and jump. So here what the meaning of these three type of control statements is. Here selection in the sense, for example, if there are two blocks of code, if two blocks of code, depending upon a condition, upon a condition, if the condition is true, we want to execute the first block, and in case if the condition is false, we want to execute the second block. So if the condition is true, we will go on executing the first block, and if the condition is false, we will execute the second block. So here what we are doing is we are selecting which block we want to execute depending upon a condition. So depending upon a condition, we are going to select which block needs to be executed. So here we are selecting a block. So that means these type of statements are called as selection statements. And we can say these selection statements are also divided into two categories. The two categories of these selection statements are two-way selection, right? Two-way selection. And the second type is multi-way selection. Two-way selection and multi-way selection. So if else comes under two-way selection, because if a condition is true here, it will execute one block. If a condition is false here, it will execute the other block. So there are only two chances for this. So that's why we call it as a two-way selection statement, right? Or there is one more name for these selection statements, that is conditional statements. We can call these selection statements as conditional statements also, right? And coming to the multi-way selection statement, the example is switch case. So in switch, we have case 1, case 2, case 3, and so on, case n, and finally we will have a default case. So depending upon a condition, we are going to execute either case 1 or case 2 or case 3 or case number n, right? So depending upon a condition, we are going to execute any one case, or in case if all the cases fails, then the compiler is going to execute the default case. So here, depending upon a condition, we have n number of selections. It case number 1 may get executed if the condition is satisfied with case number 1. Case number 2 may get executed if the condition is satisfied with case number 2. So here we have n number of cases, right, or n number of selections. So depending upon a condition, any one selection will get executed. That is why we are calling it as an multi-way selection, right? So here, so let us try, let us write one or two examples on if and switch case. So here, what I want to do is, I'm going to define a variable, for example, int a equal to 10, right? Int a equal to 10. So I want to find, right? I want to find whether the given variable is an even number or not. So if I want to find whether the given variable is the given value is even or not, we need to divide it with 0. When I divide it with 0, if the remainder, sorry, we need to divide it with 2, and when the remainder is 0, then we call it as an even number. So let us consider if a percentage 2, so I am trying to divide the variable a with 2, and in case if the value is 0, right, in case if the value is 0, then we can say that it is an even number. So I want to print the given number is even on the output screen. So system.out.println, right? System.out.println, even number, even. And in case if the given condition failed, right? If the given condition is failed, then I want to print odd number on the output screen. Odd number. So here I have taken one number and I am trying to divide the number with 2. In case if the remainder is 0, even will be printed on the output screen. And in case if the remainder is not equal to 0, then odd will be printed on the output screen. So if you observe here, depending upon this particular condition, what we have given here, the compiler may execute this statement, or the compiler may execute, in case if the condition is false, it is going to execute this statement. So we have only two ways. Here we have only two ways. That is why we are calling if as an two-way selection statement or two-way conditional statement. So here we are going to execute any one depending upon this condition. That's why we call them as conditional statements. Or we are going to select any one block to execute. So that's why we can call them as selection statements also, right? So here, let us compile this code. And then let us see the output. So a equal to 10. When we divide 10 with 2, the remainder is 0. 2 into 5 equal to 10. So the remainder will be 0. That's why it has printed even number, right? So here the given condition is true. So in the given condition is true, that's why it is executing this block. In case if the given condition fails, the compiler will execute this particular block, right? So let us try this one by taking any other number. So I have taken a equal to 9 and I am trying to divide the a value with 2. So here the compiler has given the output odd number because here the given condition is failed. When we divide it with 2, the remainder is not equal to 0. So the given condition is failed. That's why it has printed odd on the output screen, right? So similarly, let us write the switch case, switch of a, right? Switch of a. So what I want to do here is case number 1, right? Case number 1. I want to print system.out.println, system.out.println 1, right? Similarly, break. So here, while writing switch case, at the end of each and every case, you have to maintain the break statement, right? At the end of each and every case, you have to maintain the break statement. If you don't maintain the break statement, the loop will continue. I will show it. Right. So at last, maintain a default case. Right, see here. So what I am trying to do is, if we enter any number in between 1 to 5, then it is going to print it in English words. If we enter 1, then on the output screen it will print ONE, and if we enter 2, then on the output screen it is going to print 2, and if we enter 5, then on the output screen, the compiler is going to print 5. And in case if the given number is not in between 1 to 5, so it is going to print please enter the numbers between 1 to 5 on the output screen, right? So here we have given number 9. So what happens here is that number 9 will be verified against each and every case. So number 9 is equal to 1. So the condition is false. So the compiler will check the next case. 9 equal to 2. Here the condition is false. 9 equal to 3. Here also the condition is false. 9 is not equal to 4. Here also false. 9 is not equal to 5. So the given 5 cases does not match with the given number. So the 5 cases do not match with the given number. So here we have given the value of 9, but here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. None of the cases have the value 9. So in such cases, compiler is going to execute the default case, right? So in this case, the output will be enter numbers between 1 to 5. So let us see the output of this code. So the default case has been executed because our given number does not match with any of the cases. For example, let us try this one with number 2. So if you try it with number 2, so the compiler will start searching. So if first it will try to match case number 1. 1 is not equal to 2, and then it will try to match case number 2. So here the case number 2 matches with the given number. So it will print 2 on the output screen. So after printing 2, we have given the break statement. Whenever the compiler observes the break statement, immediately it will come out of the loop without executing any of the remaining cases. It will not try to match with 3, 4, 5 and default. Immediately when the break statement was observed by the compiler, it will come out of the loop, right? If you don't maintain the break statement here, then the compiler will try to match with case number 3, match with case number 4, match with case number 5. In case if none of the cases matches, then default case will get 6. Right? So now let us see the output of this code, and then we will remove the break statement inside the switch case, and we can try what will be the output. So see here, I have given a equal to 2. So the case matches with case number 2, and it has printed 2 on the output, right? So now let us remove this break statement, and let us compile and execute the code. So see here, if I compile and execute the code, right, case number 2 has been matched. So because the case number 2 has been matched, the control enters into the loop. So it has printed 2. Because there is no break statement here, the compiler will not try to match the remaining cases. If one case inside the switch case matches with the given condition, then the compiler is going to execute all the statements which was present in all the cases if we don't write any break statement here. So for example, you don't maintain the break statement in all the remaining cases, then the output will be 2, 3, 4, 5, enter numbers between 1 to 5. All the statements are going to be printed on the output screen. See here. So now, because of this case number 2 has been matched, the compiler control will enters into the body of the cases, and it will execute all the remaining bodies without matching the cases. So it will execute all the remaining bodies, and it will print all the statements on the output, right? So here, for example, if I have taken 4, what will happen is case number 1 do not match with 4, case number 2 do not match with 4, case number 3 do not match with 4, but case number 4 matches with the 4. So now the output will be 4, 5 and enters number between 1 to 5, right? So if there is no break statement at the end of each and every case, all the statements are going to be executed, right? So it is very important to put a break statement at the end of each and every case, so that whenever a case matches, then that particular case is going to be executed. So see here, why we call these statements as multi-way statements, in the sense here, depending upon the value of A, so depending upon the value of A, compiler is going to execute either case number 1 or case number 2 or case number 3 or case number 4 or case number n, right? If we can write any number of cases inside a switch case. So here the selection is multi-way, right? There are multiple ways of selection. Either we can go for 1, 2, 3 or case number n. So that's why we call them as multi-way selection statements, right? And one more thing, default statement is not mandate. If you want to write default, we can maintain the default. And if you don't want to maintain the default, no issues, we can just remove the default. So what will happen in case if the default was not maintained means, if we maintain default case inside the switch case, so if none of these cases matches with the given condition, none of the cases matches with the given condition, then compiler is going to execute the default case, right? So here I have given number 9, but there is no case number 9 here. Now for this program, we don't get any output and we don't understand. So if I execute this also, I am not getting any output. So we don't understand what happened inside the code. So if you maintain default means, there we can write one statement, none of the above cases matched, or enter the numbers between 1 to 10. So that will be some clarity for the program. So it is good to maintain a default case at the end of switch case. And then here one more thing is, so here there is no need to maintain order in cases. So here I have maintained some order, case number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is not mandate to maintain the order. We can have any case at any place, right? We can have any case at any place. See here, I am just shuffling all the cases, right? So now see here, see here, I just shuffled case number, I just kept case number 5 in the first position, case number 1 in the second position, and case number 3 in the last position. So here what will happen is, the first, the given condition will be matched with the given first case. If both are equal, these statements will get executed. If it does not matches with the given first case, then it will be verified with the second one. And in case if it is also not matched, then it will be verified by the third case, etc. So in this way, the matching will be done. So there is no need to maintain any order. So let us see the output of this code. If I maintain a equal to 4, let us see the output of this code. So here the output of this code is 4, because the A value does not match with A value does not match with 1, A value does not match with 2, but A value matches with case number 4, right? A value matches with case number 4, that's why it has printed 4 on the output. So there is no need to maintain certain order. And at the same time, for example, let us consider this A is a character. So the variable A is a character and it contains a character small v. So what I want to print is, if I have given AEIOU, then I want to print vowels on the output screen. Other than AEIOU, for the remaining 21 alphabets, I want to print them as consonants. So in such cases, what I have to give, do is case A. So if I found case A, I want to print it as a vowel, right? In case if the given character is A or E, again I want to print it as an vowel, right? In case if the given character is I, for that also I want to print vowel on the output screen. And for the remaining two, and the last one U, right? So here for all these inputs, if we enter A or E or I or O or U, right? If we enter any of these things, the output will be vowel. So here all the bodies are same for all these 5 conditions. So without writing the condition every time, just remove all these things. Just remove all these things. Is A, E, I, O, and then U. So if the given character matches with A or E or I or O or U, if anything inside these 5 conditions match, it is going to be vowel. So it is not mandated to write body for all the cases. So it is not mandated to write the body. Body in the sense that this case U is having some body. So it is not mandated to write body for all the cases. So if the body is common for 2 or more number of conditions, then we can maintain all conditions at once, and we can write single body for all the conditions. See here, for case A, case E, case I, case O, and case U. For all these 5 conditions, the statement is common that we have to print vowel on the output. So I don't maintain body for each and every condition. I just maintain body for U, and I have written all these cases before you. So if any of these 5 conditions matches, so it is going to print vowel on the output, right? And at the same time, in case if the character is B, or in case if the character is C, or in case if the character is D, right? In all these cases, I am going to print consonants on the output, right? I don't maintain the remaining letters, right? So here, if any of these 5 matches, it is going to print vowel, and if any of these remaining 21 matches, it is going to print consonant. So let us try this one. See here, it has printed vowel because we have given character A. And in case what happens if we give a character C? And consonants, and it has printed enter between 1 to 100 because we don't maintain break statement here. If we maintain break statement, then it is not going to be executed. So here it has printed console. See here, what happens if I give anything like at the rate? So at the rate is not a part of alphabets. So here what will happen is it is going to execute the default case. So compiler will start matching with case number 1 or case number 2 or case number 3 or case number 4 or case number 5. If none of the given cases does not match, or if none, if no, I'm sorry, if no cases match with the given condition, then the compiler is going to execute the default case. here, so these are called as selection statements. So under if or if else, we are going to select. We are going to select either a block depends upon true and or another block depends upon false. And similarly, in switch case, we are going to select any one case. So it is called as multi-way selection, and if else are called as two-way selections. Coming to the control statements, coming to the iterational statements. So these iterational statements are categorized into three types: while, do while, and for loop. Among these three, this while and for both are called as pre-test iteration loop, and it is called as post-test iteration loop, right? Pre-test and post-test. Why we are calling while and do while as pre-test, and why we are calling do while as post-test in the sense, for example, and let us see for what purpose we are using these iteration statements. So iteration means executing same part of code again and again is called as iteration. For example, if I want to print, see here, if I want to print system.out.println, if I want to print CSC on the output screen, just I can do system.out.println CSC. For example, if I want to print CSC on the output screen for 10 times, we can write this statement for 10 times. Right? We can write this statement for 10 times. So if I write this statement 10 times, then CSC will be printed on the output screen for 10 times, right? So here, if I want to print the CSC on the output screen for 1 lakh times, what I have to do? I have to write this system.out.println statement for 1 lakh times. So that will consume lot of our time, and that is a wastage. That will waste a lot of space for our program, right? And it will be irritating for the programmer also. So simply what we can do, instead of writing the same statement again and again and again, if we make our compiler to execute the same statement for n number of times, the n value may be 10, or n value may be 100, or n value may be 1 lakh. So if you can execute the same statement for n number of times, then we can print CSC on the output screen for 10 times, for 100 times, for 1000 times, or 1 lakh times. So here what we are doing is we are executing the same part of code. Here the part of code is system.out.println CSC, and we are executing the same part of code again and again and again and again and again. So it is called as iteration. So what we have to do is, if we are able to keep this one inside a block, and if we are able to execute this block for n number of times, then it will be, then CSC will be printed on the output screen for any number of times. So here, if we write while, see here, if we write while a is greater than 10, see here, if we write while a greater than 10, where a is an integer variable, where the value of a equal to something called as 0, right? A equal to 0, and inside the body I am just incrementing the value of a. So initially the value of a is 0, and I'm sorry, a less than 10, take the condition a less than 10. So 0 less than 10. So that if the condition is true, then the compiler is going to enter into the block, and it will print CSC on the output screen, and then we are going to increment the value of a. So now 0 will become 1, and after becoming 1, it is going to check the condition again. So, and if the 1 is also less than 10, so it will print again CSC, and 1 will become 2,
2 is also less than 10, it will print CSC. So here we are entering into the block after checking this condition. So that's why we call it as pre-test iteration loop. We are testing the condition. In case in the testing of this condition, if the condition is true, then we are going to execute the block. If the condition is false, we never enter into the block. Right? We never enter into the block. See here, we are checking the condition before executing this block. That's why we call this while as pre-test iteration loop. So here, what will happen is, see here, see the output of this code. So CSC has been printed 10 times. Want to print CSC for 100 times, simply give the condition A less than 100 and it will print CSC on the output screen for 100 number of times. See, they are printed 100 times, right? So, or simply print the value of A so that you can understand it betterly. If you write A, so the numbers will be printed from 1 to 99 because we have taken A less than 100. If you take A less than or equal to 100, then 100 will also be printed on the output. Right? So by using while loop, first we are checking the condition and then we are executing the body of the while loop. So that's why we call it as pre-test. And coming to the do while, it is called as post-test iteration loop. How the do while syntax will be is, see, do while syntax here we maintain do, and after the end here we maintain while A less than 10. So what will happen is, the compiler is going to execute this block first. After executing the block, it is going to check the condition. If the condition is true, again it will execute the block. And if the condition is false, it just comes out of this block. Right? So first, this block is going to be executed. After execution of block only, we are going to check the condition. That's why we call this do while as post test. First block is going to be executed and then condition testing will be done. In case of while, first condition will be verified and then we execute the block of the code. That is why it is called as pre-test. So here, the body of the block will be executed. That means the value of A will be printed on the output screen. After printing the value of A, then we are going to check the condition. So irrespective of this condition, this do while body will be executed at least once. Do while body will be executed at least once, irrespective of the condition. See here, in this case, we are getting the output 0 to 9 on the output screen. Initial value of A is 0. We are going to print the value of A and A will become 1 less than 10. Condition is true, again it is going to print 1 will become 2, and then 2 less than 10, again it is going to print the value of 2, etc. So here what I want to do is I want to make it as 10. If A equal to 10, I am checking the condition A less than 10. 10 is never less than 10. 10 equal to 10. 10 is not less than 10. So the condition is false here. Even though the condition is false, it is going to print the value of 10 on the output. See here. So here we have got the output of 10. So even though the condition is failed, the body of the do while loop is executed at least once. So let us see what will happen if we maintain, right? What will happen if we maintain while loop here? In case if we maintain while loop here, we don't get any output of this code. See here, we don't get any output of this code because the condition is failed. Because of this condition is failed, it will never enter into the block. It will just come out of this block. But in case of do while loop, right? But in case of do while loop, what is going to be happen is, in case of do while loop, first the body is going to be executed and then condition checking is done. So even though if the condition is true or false, this body of do while loop will be executed, right? So, so apart from this while, we are on do while, we are going to see about for loop, break, and continue in today's class. And along with this, we are going to cover the remaining topics: operators, precedence rules, and Java comments. Hope you all understood today's session. And if you have any doubts, you can keep the doubts in the comment box of this video. And I really thank